up guys, it's Bebe. Welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to do my recap and review of EDC Orlando. I'm sorry this video is a little bit late. I know it's been a couple weeks since the festival now, but the week when I got back was just super hectic with work, and then right after that was Thanksgiving, so I didn't get a chance to film it then. But today we're gonna sit down and talk all about it because this was a super popular event, and I also was talking to a lot of people afterwards who didn't go, who were saying that now they really want to go next year. So I thought this would be a perfect video to kind of sum up the experience this year if you're thinking about going for next year, or if you just want to reminisce because you were there. Welcome. I do have vlogs from this year, so I have one for each day. If you want to check those out, I'll leave a card above. As I always say, the best way to kind of see a festival firsthand and think about what it might be like for you is by watching vlogs. So definitely check those out if you haven't already. We're just gonna jump right into it. Same categories I always use for every recap and review. So starting out, I always talk about weather and terrain. Weather for this year I thought was better than in 2019. It was way cooler during the day. 2019 it was pretty hot during the day. Not on all 3 days, but I remember like Sunday was really hot during the day, and when you were in the sun, like it was pretty bad. But this year it really wasn't hot during the day at all. I would say it was probably like 70 to 75-ish, which I thought was perfect. But at night it definitely did get pretty chilly. You kind of had to have a pashmina or layers or something because it was really cold when you were walking around, maybe less so in the crowd obviously. But I liked the weather this year, but it definitely was chilly at night. Like I remember when we would get back to the hotel and we were kind of shocked at how cold it was because it's Florida. I think at night it was probably like in the 50s. It was pretty chilly, but it wasn't impossible to deal with. I always like it when festivals are a little bit cooler rather than being like scorching hot, because that's not comfortable for anyone. I liked the weather this year, and as far as the terrain goes, it's pretty standard. EDC Orlando is mostly on grass because it's in a field and it's not very hilly. Like most of it is very flat. Honestly, really no complaints, just that it was a little cold at night, but if you're prepared, then that's not an issue. Next, we're going to talk about transportation. There are so many options for EDC Orlando. I feel like you can do the festival shuttles, you have the home-based shuttles, you can Uber, you can drive yourself, and there's so many different like areas to park. Personally, what we did is the first day we Ubered there and back, and then the second 2 days, or the second and third days, we drove ourselves just because we had a friend who had a car, so that was super convenient. Driving yourself or doing shuttles I think is the way to go rather than Ubers. And we kind of learned this lesson in 2019 too, but we still didn't want to pay for the shuttle. But even then this year, like we didn't want to pay for the shuttle, so we did Ubers and then driving ourselves. And honestly, the price of parking the second and third day and the cost of the Ubers the first day was still cheaper than what a shuttle pass would have costed. So I don't know, it's up to you. I think maybe if I went back next year, I would probably do the shuttles if I didn't have a friend who had a car. If I had a friend who had a car, I always opt to drive, so long as someone's the designated driver, which we had, so we were fine on that front. But yeah, I always prefer to just drive ourselves to the festival, because then you can just like leave on your own time, you know, you have your own vehicle. It's just nice. Like the first night, you could get an Uber pretty quickly. We left like 5-10 minutes before the festival ended, I want to say. No, maybe more like 20 minutes before the festival ended, to walk and start to call an Uber so that we wouldn't get like stuck. And we were able to call an Uber pretty quickly, but just that whole area outside the festival, like the cars just get so held up. It's so difficult. Everyone's calling ride shares and it's very messy. What happened the first night, getting there is no issue. Getting there is pretty easy so long as you don't go too late in the day. Then the traffic starts to get bad. But leaving the festival is really difficult because so many people are calling ride shares. And I know that once we called our Uber after Friday, we got one pretty quickly. It was easy, but then the self-service dropped as we were like walking towards where the driver was. So I couldn't see him in the app anymore, and I didn't know where he was. Like it wouldn't update where he was on the map. So we tried calling him like 3 times and getting him to describe where he was. And then the whole ride just dropped. But luckily, after looking at the app so many times, I remembered his license plate and the car, so I was like, fuck it, we're just gonna walk and find him. Even though it was not listed on my Uber anymore, like it said that I did not have a ride. But I was like, fuck it, I'm tired and I wanna get out of here. So we just walked until we found the car, double checked the license plate, we got in, and he was like, oh yeah, what happened? Like, it says you canceled the ride. I was like, boy, I did not cancel the ride. The fucking cell service canceled the ride. I don't know what's going on. Luckily, he was super nice and offered to still take us back to our hotel, and then we just cash apped him, which sounds really fucking sus. But there was like 5 or 6 of us in a group, and like like I said, I checked the license plate, I checked that it was the right car, and I asked for his name. So yeah, sounds a little sus, but we did end up making it back okay. But I can't imagine, like, our friends who also got an Uber like had to wait so much longer. So I think next year, like, if I don't have a car, or one of my friends doesn't have a car, I'm probably just gonna do the shuttles, to be honest with you. I think that's probably the easiest way to go. Let's talk about vibes, my favorite category. Honestly, this year the vibes were really, really good. We had some issues with people not saying excuse me in the crowd, which is my biggest pet fucking peeve. Like, just say excuse me, it's not hard. But overall, the vibes were really good. I had so many people I knew here, so it was just like a combination of so many different friends and groups, and we all just meshed well together, and it was just a great time. And overall, like, strangers were very nice. Everyone was really nice. The Lunchbox fam Rave Culture Cast meetup was insane. Like, so many people showed up, and everyone was so friendly and so excited to meet each other, and it just warmed my heart. It really was amazing. Overall, the vibes were really good. Just really, really good. I think also, I don't know, this also took place like right after Astro World, so I think people were extra just looking out for each other. Like, I remember there was a girl who wasn't feeling well in the crowd, and a lot of people were like coming over to check on her, make sure she was okay, and like give her water and stuff like that. I feel like that's pretty standard at EDM festivals. Like, people look out for one another very much so in the crowd, but I felt it more this weekend. Like, I feel like people were more concerned for each other's safety, which made me happy. Next is vendors, lines, and prices. I don't know why the fuck it is so dark in my room today. Like, where is the sun? I never waited too long for anything, and the prices were pretty standard. Drinks were fucking expensive, but that's to be expected. Also, they sold out a beatbox on Sunday, and literally all hell broke loose. Like, none of us knew how to act. So I ended up I switched to vodka Red Bull, and I paid $23 for one vodka Red Bull. And then as soon as I picked it up and like walked back to my friends in the crowd, someone texted in the group chat, and they were like, they're not sold out at this one bar like across Circuit Grounds. And I was on the left side bar at Circuit Grounds, and they were like, the right side bar has beatboxes. I was like, bruh, I just spent $23 on one drink. So yeah, that wasn't my proudest moment. Plus, I just hate regular drinks at festivals. Like, the point of beatbox and why it's so fantastic as a concept is that it has a lid on it and it's not fizzy. So you can dance around with it and shake it and whatever, and it won't spill and it won't fucking explode when you open it again. Oh, it just, Beatbox knew what they were doing. They understood the assignment. EDC Orlando did not understand the assignment when they sold out, but honestly, good for Beatbox. For food, I just did island noodles. It's the easiest for me, also because I'm vegan, so I can't eat meat, so I just get island noodles without the chicken. I didn't really see prices on other food options that they had, but it was probably like pretty standard Insomniac prices. But yeah, I never really waited long for anything. I don't think I waited in a single like long line. I mean, the island noodles line gets pretty long, but they move quick. So security. So security was super chill on days 1 and 2. Pretty much just walked right in. They didn't check much. And then I don't know what happened, but on day 3 they went all in. Like, all in. I think that was the toughest security I've had at a festival this entire year, to be honest with you. Like, they checked I have a lunchbox hydration pack for reference, and they unzipped the skin, which they never do. They looked in the bottom pocket, which they often don't do, because I just pull up like with it already open, because lunchbox, it's anti-theft, so it can be a little confusing, and I don't want them to think that I'm like hiding anything, so I always just go with the top pocket open. And when I do that, they rarely notice that there's even a bottom pocket where the bladder is. But nope, on day 3 they literally opened everything. They threw out any tiny thing that wasn't allowed, like unsealed gum, chapstick, like all the stupid little stuff that usually isn't allowed, but like they let it fly anyway. No, they threw out everything, literally everything. It was so annoying. I get why they're doing it. I like that they're doing their job. I like that they're being thorough, but it just, I don't want to buy a new pack of gum and a new chapstick to bring in every single day of a festival. It's just, I get it. I do get it. That definitely shocked us, because day 1 and 2 they didn't give a fuck, and then all of a sudden on Sunday, I guess maybe something happened, I don't know. But yeah, that was security for this year. And I do remember like the last time I went to EDC Orlando, security was pretty tight on some days. I remember in 2019 it was like flipped basically. Like day 1 and 2 they really searched everything, and then I remember day 3, like I walked in, they didn't even have me unzip my bag. They just waved me in. I don't know. So that is security for this year. Let's talk production and layout. I liked this year's production and layout much better than 2019. As far as layout goes, not much changed except that they flipped kinetic field. So it was on the opposite side, like corner of the festival. So it was further away from Neon Garden. And honestly, it made more sense traffic wise, in my opinion. No fucking way. It just started snowing. It just started fucking snowing. Thank God I'm going to Mexico this week. I'm not a winter person. I really am not. That just horrified me. Okay. It made so much more sense traffic-wise because when you were coming down, I guess, Rainbow Road. I don't know if they call it Rainbow Road at EDC Orlando, but you were like walking toward, like you weren't walking directly into a packed crowd at Kinetic. Like you still had space to like move. It's hard to visualize if you weren't there, but those who have been to EDC Orlando before, like it just made more sense, especially also sound bleed wise, because then you were further away from Neon Garden. It just made more sense. I really liked it. I'm glad that they flipped it. And also Circuit Grounds, the design this year, I loved. I loved it more than the hexagon design, I think. It was just like, you could see the visuals better. It was just really, really cool. And all the smaller stages were also great. They reminded me a lot of Vegas, especially Neon Garden. And they also brought the drone show, like similar to Vegas, to Orlando, which I thought was great. I love the drone show. So I was very happy to see that they brought that. Yeah, it just felt like Vegas. I mean, so I've done EDC Orlando before, and then this year I did Vegas for the first time, and now doing EDC Orlando again. Like I can see it, like it's definitely felt more like Vegas than the last EDC Orlando I went to, if that makes sense. Lineup, I don't have any complaints about the lineup either. The thing I really love about Insomniac events, particularly above any of them, EDC, is because they're really good with genre diversity. So for example, like each day at Stereo Bloom at EDC Orlando was a different genre takeover. So like Friday it was all hard dance, Saturday it was all trance, I believe, yeah, and then Sunday it was all house music. If you're a big house and techno person, you can go to Neon Garden. If you're a big bass head, Circuit Grounds was most of the bass artists. Kinetic has like your pretty big, like popular EDM names. Corona Electric Beach was really cool because you had like bigger artists on that smaller stage, which is a really cool vibe. Some of my highlights, my favorite set of the weekend was definitely Dimension, hands down. I saw a lot of people were saying that in the comments on my vlog for that day as well. Like that was the best set of EDC Orlando, no competition for me. But some of my highlights that I also wrote down were Nightmare Back-to-Back Sudden Death, just because that was super different and I really, really enjoyed that. They're two of my favorite artists, like on their own, so seeing them together was dope. Seven Lions, Armin, I finally got to see Armin after like almost 2.5 years, so that was amazing. Diesel was great. Excision, Kygo's Sunset set was a fucking vibe. Like I want to relive that set so bad. It was so much fun. Jason Ross, Dabin, and Said the Sky. Those were probably my biggest highlights, but yeah, Dimension just was the highlight of my entire weekend, to be honest with you. So the lineup is amazing. Honestly, EDC, Orlando, and Vegas, it's just one of those festivals that like I'm willing to buy a pass for without seeing the lineup because I just know that it's not going to disappoint. Last point I always cover is would I go back? And for EDC Orlando, I'm going to say yes. I would always like to return to EDC Orlando. It's just very good value for what it is. I got very lucky in that I got a pass comped for this year, so didn't have to worry about buying one even, although I did buy one like from before COVID, so I had an extra wristband anyway. But even if you are buying a pass yourself, it's really worth the value of the money. Like EDC Orlando is not an expensive festival in comparison to other Insomniac events, so it's a really good bang for your buck for that level of production and top tier lineup, production, layout. Like everything about EDC Orlando is amazing. The vibes are great. The one thing that really holds me back from wanting to go next year, and I do want to talk about this in this video, is the lack of requirements for entry in regards to COVID. So for EDC Orlando, you didn't need a vaccine, but you didn't even need a negative test to get in, and I personally don't agree with that. I don't like that, and we did actually have like a COVID scare in our group afterwards. Someone tested positive, a couple people tested positive. I got really lucky in that I didn't. I tested more than once to make sure, so I didn't end up getting COVID from this event, but my friends did who are fully vaccinated. And I just think at this point, if you're having any like event this big, I don't care what state you're in, you should be requiring at least a negative test to get in. And if you don't agree with that, that's fine, but that's just how I feel. Like, you're in an event and close quarters with thousands of people, like the least you can do is require people to get a negative test if they're not vaccinated. So I really just don't like that they didn't require anything, and I know it's Florida and that's why. It leaves me a little uneasy, especially if you do so many festivals like I am. Like, I think about it, and if this had happened a week later, my friends and I were talking about this, if this festival was a week later or like a week and a half later and we tested positive for COVID, like, we wouldn't be able to go to the festival we're going to this weekend, which is Ember Shores. I just like don't want to risk that. I know you can get COVID at any festival regardless of what entry requirements they have, but I just don't. I like the peace of mind of knowing that like everyone came into the festival negative, if that makes sense. So I really, yeah, that's the one thing I do not like about EDC Orlando for this year, is that they didn't require anything. As someone who goes to a lot of events, like, I just don't want to run the risk of getting COVID in between different ones. So that's the only thing holding me back from going next year. We don't know where we're gonna be COVID wise next year, so who knows. That's just a thought that I definitely wanted to include in this video. Other than that, that's it for this recap and review. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you were there, definitely drop a comment down below of what sets you liked or what you liked or didn't like about EDCO this year. I'd love to get a little conversation going and give some more insight to people who are thinking about going in 2022. Like I said, my next festival is Ember Shores. I am going this week. I will be vlogging. I'm so excited for this event. In case you're not familiar, this is Illenium's new curated festival in Cancun, Mexico. So it is at an all-inclusive resort on the beach, and it honestly sounds like my dream. 3 days on the beach, all-inclusive food and drink and melodic bass music. Bitch, you can bury me there. Stay tuned for those videos. They will be coming soon. So I will see you guys in Cancun if you are going, and if not, I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.